You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. We are getting into part 2 of our show today, which I'm excited to dive into. We got to some great questions yesterday, and I promise today we'll get through many, many more. So we're starting to catch up on our weekend house calls. We're picking up right here. It may not sound like it, but we're picking up with our first question today from Sarina from Australia, and it came in on March 21st. So again, if you're unfamiliar with our weekend shows, this is where we answer our community's questions. We have a global health community here with the Cabral Concepts. People literally from all over the world sharing what's going on in their life and looking for advice as to what they may be missing, what they could do next, or why they're not able to fix their health issues, their weight-based issues, their anti-aging issues, psychological-based issues, whatever it may be. And we look at it from a holistic standpoint. And, not kind of like the holistic where, it's kind of touchy-feely. We actually say, and again, I have no problem with that at all, but we look at it from what can we do from a clinical perspective, from a lifestyle perspective, from nutrition, from diet, exercise, stress reduction, toxin removal, rest, emotional balance, supplements, and success mindset. That is the de-stress protocol that I write about in my book, The Rain Barrel Effect. And really, that's what I do to try to help people get well. And now I'm fortunate enough to be able to teach it to people all around the world through the Integrative Health Practitioner course, which I believe opens tomorrow. It only opens once every couple months. We allow 100 people in. And it's for people that want to learn more about their health, or if you're a practitioner, or if you want to become a practitioner or health coach, to teach you how to help others with that too. So pretty amazing. I really feel blessed that I'm given that opportunity to be able to teach now to those all around the world, so that sure I can help people. I read a lot of labs every single day, right? Every day, and it's one of my favorite things, if not my favorite thing to do. But now I get to teach other people that want to help other people. And that affects so many more people. And that's really what it's all about. It's always why I say, when you learn something, whatever it is, pay it forward. Teach it to someone else. That's where the real benefit comes from, I believe. But I could just be, could be alone on that one. All right. So let's move into this first question. The first question is from Sarina from Australia. She says she has an 8-month-old baby who was born naturally, never had any antibiotics or vaccinations, fully breastfed, yet she has food sensitivities and allergies. We have found she is sensitive to salicylates and bananas and allergic to cow and goat milk. And I'm not sure about eggs or peanuts, but too scared to give them. How could this have happened? What do you think can be done to help reverse this? She has been on gut infant probiotics and only recently started with spore probiotics. She is also on cod liver oil, still being breastfed and on a very low salicylate diet. I'm healing my gut without glutamine, glycine, and emu oil from particular company. I don't like to put in the companies just so that I don't speak negatively ever about any other company. Any help would be greatly appreciated. Also, she did have eczema too, but this has all gone away from the changes that we made, but her food sensitivities have not changed. Thanks. Okay, so here's the deal. 8 months old, your baby's gut wall, your child's gut wall, is not going to be fully sealed yet. It does not seal up until about 2 years old. And this is done on purpose because biologically, babies, young toddlers, children were meant to be breastfed for about 2 years. Now, you can definitely do longer. I'm not saying you can't. And of course, I'm not saying that you can't do a shorter period of time. This is a personal choice, and I respect any mom's decision to do what she decides is best for her and her child. That is very important to me. So I will always support and recommend moms because I know what a challenging job and hard job that they do have. So you're continuing to breastfeed your child, which is great. So here's the thing. anything that they take in, their gut wall is more permeable, and it will move through that gut wall. Why is it more permeable? Well, for the first couple of years of life, and their child's meant to be breastfed, they're also meant to get your immune cells. And your immune cells from your breast milk, well, here's the amazing thing. If you haven't already heard this, that the mom will actually make immune cells based on what the baby needs. I mean, how crazy is that, right? And this shows you that there's more to us than just kind of our physical being. There's some energy-based transfer. And from simply the mother being connected to her child allows her body, you're not doing this consciously, but at a subconscious level, to produce the immunoglobulins that will then help that child get well. I mean, it's remarkable. So we have to make sure, Sarina, that in your diet, you are not eating anything your child is sensitive to. So here's what we need to do. Yes, you need to seal up your gut. I'm not an advocate of spore-based probiotics. I've mentioned this before. Not the kind that you recommend. There are other types that are naturally occurring, but I don't recommend that. I've talked about that on many podcasts. You can just go back to stephencabral.com/podcasts and just type in spore. You can just do that and you'll find the podcast on that. Okay. They'll be on a house call. And so, yes, we need to fix your gut. So for you, Sarina, we want to run an organic acids test, maybe a stool test, but definitely organic acids test and food sensitivity test. For your 8-month-old, we should run a food sensitivity test. We can mail those to you in Australia. You will find out the food sensitivities, including the egg and nuts, right? So those are very, very important to do. Now, these are from an IgG perspective. They're not going to tell you what anaphylactically the child might be sensitive to, but they will tell you what's causing the eczema and inflammation, etc. Okay? So that's what I want you to do, and then we'll work on healing your daughter as well through natural-based protocols, and those will be consistent with using our daily probiotic support, which contains the L-reuteri that all young kids need, especially those with eczema and food sensitivities and the colicky, etc. And then oftentimes we can give another strain called B. infantis. B. infantis, okay? That's a separate one that you can just add as well. So that's a great start. That's where we'll start first. And of course, keep eliminating those foods for now. After 2 years old, they may outgrow these sensitivities after the gut wall seals up. All right, Kirian is up next. Is it possible to test for herpes virus after it's gone dormant? So that's a really great question, Kirian. That's never come up before. But yes, you can actually test for it after it's gone dormant. One way to look for it is, I don't know, so there's so many different herpes viruses, right? It's herpes simplex-based viruses or strains of herpes. So what we need to do is, find out if cytomegalovirus or some other types of herpes that are active, well, they're not active, right? So they've gone dormant, but do you still have an issue with them? Well, here's what we can do. Is we can run a test, and you can do this with your medical doctor, your PCP, because it has to be done through blood work. And you want to ask them to run the IgG labs for those herpes viruses that you have, okay? So run the IgG, which is a chronic, more longer-term immune reactivity to these, and it can show you if they've been circulating or at least your body's been fighting them really within the last 6 months or so. If those are low and the virus is dormant, well, you're doing a great job and really there's no reactivity and your immune system is now a little bit more at rest. But if the IgG numbers are high, even though it's dormant, you can see your immune system is actually still working very, very hard. And I see people in my practice who do have that, and it leaves them quite run down and tired. So you can check that as well. So you can also check the IgG for Epstein-Barr virus too. Okay, Patrick is up next. Hi, Dr. Ball. Still doing great since you answered my last question. I'm still getting in about 3 podcasts a day and enjoy every one of them. My question is about the mumps. I live in Philadelphia and my nephew goes to Temple College where right now there are 90 cases of mumps. I want to know about any information you know that could be helpful to him so he doesn't catch it and what someone could do if they get it. Thank you so much. So, Patrick, with mumps or with any of these things, all I recommend is boosting the immune system. So, let's just say one of my daughters ended up getting measles or mumps or something like that. Let's just say anything, really, anything like that. What I want to do is just say, okay, I'm looking at the body having to fight a virus or a bacteria or some type of infection, and I'm going to boost the immune system. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So we have an adult-based immune protocol that we don't sell on the website, but we've given it many times in the podcast, and we have a children's-based one. So let's say that was it your nephew? Let's see here. Why can't I find that? Yes, your nephew, yes. So, and again, I don't know the age. It says they go to Temple College. Oh, well, so maybe they're in college, and I just read it as kind of like they go to Temple. So if they're in college, then they would do the adult immune boosting protocol. And it's very straightforward. And again, if you ever can't find that, you can ask it at cabralsupportgroup.com, which is our Facebook group. You can type it into the stevencabral.com/podcasts, and you can find it there as well. But what we do is we boost the immune system with vitamin C and with immune-based protocols that will include echinacea. They'll include other things such as cat's claw. They will have thyme. They'll have oregano. And we'll be on this for about 2 weeks period of time. And that gives the immune system a big boost. So I've talked about this before as well. If I'm going on a trip or if I'm traveling and I'm going to be on an airplane, I'm going to be speaking or giving, 2-day seminars, I can't afford to get sick. I just can't. I mean, my energy has to be at a certain level, my clarity, my thinking, because I don't use notes. I just don't for the most part. Even if I'm giving an hour and a half presentation, I create slides, but the slides are just there to say, okay, this is what we're talking about next. This is what we're talking about next. So I have to stay very sharp. And if I get sick, it affects my brain. It affects my ability to think clearly, and I'm much slower at processing. So, what I do is, again, right away I boost my immune system. So I use vitamin C. Every day I use the full spectrum vitamin C. Every day. It's just 2 caps. Very simple. So I get a gram of vitamin C every day doing that. I mean, for other people, it might seem like a high dose, but it's really just a moderate to mild dose of vitamin C. It really is. We need vitamin C. We humans need vitamin C. We can't make our own. Other animals can. We can't. Very important that we get it. But then when I go on a trip, a couple days before, I use my alkalizing vitamin C, 1 scoop in the morning, and then on my travel days, I'll probably do 2 scoops, which gives me 5 grams of vitamin C. I still take my full spectrum vitamin C because it's in my supplement box, and I just take it every day. And then at the day after, after I get off the airplane, I'm still taking the vitamin C, and I might take it through the trip if it's just a couple-day trip, because if I'm getting back on the airplane in 2 days, I just keep taking it, take it for another 2 days when I'm home, and that's it. So it's like a week plan. That's all. 7 days of taking the extra vitamin C, and then I will use something prophylactically, whether it be oregano oil, my GI Balance, which contains thyme oil, oregano oil, and clove. That I just take 1 cap at each meal, or I could use something like the Herb Farm brand, which is a tincture, and it is called Rapid Immune Boost. So I might use that as well. So that's just kind of prophylactic, but we have a larger immune-based protocol that would boost your immunity for both children and adults, and they are very different for both. Okay, so Patrick, hopefully that helps. Jessica is up next. Jessica writes in, "Hi, Dr. Brawl. Love your podcast and listen every day." Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate the daily listens. I feel like I have always had a faster metabolism, and I'm hungry every few hours. I will eat dinner around 6 or so, and I try to go to bed around 9. However, I'm always hungry right before bed, and if that's the case, I just can't fall asleep, and I wake up in the middle of the night starving. I've always just had a bowl of cereal, lately healthier cereal, and unsweetened almond milk. I know it's not healthy to eat right before bed, but is this normal? Is there anything that you would suggest that's healthier than cereal? Thank you again. So, Jessica, this is really important. I've answered this a bunch of times, but I have a lot of podcasts, so sometimes people have listened to everyone, and I'm happy to answer it whenever people write in, that's for sure. And I want you to pass this on. I really do. So if you talk to someone and they're ever hungry within a couple hours of eating, they did not eat enough protein, fat, or total food at the meal before. Okay, so here's the deal. It's usually protein, almost always. If you have that fast metabolism and you're hungry all the time, more protein at the meal before. It doesn't have to be meat. It doesn't have to be fish. It could be a vegan-based protein if you wanted to. It could just be more hemp parts. It could be more vegan-based protein powder. It can be any of those things. But also make sure you get enough fiber. So you want a full meal, right? You want to get in your sweet potato, Japanese yams. You want to get in a couple cups of vegetables like broccoli, and let's say you put a little bit of asparagus on your plate. And then you want to make sure that you get enough protein. And your protein, you ask like, oh, how much should I take? Well, whatever you're taking right now is not enough. So add 1.5 times that, right? So if you're eating a cup of protein now, add an extra half a cup. If that seemed to have worked, great. If it worked pretty well but not enough, add 2 cups, right? Add 2 total cups of protein. And again, you can't do that with hemp parts. That's a whole lot of hemp parts. But you could do it with beans, and you could do it with other food products as well. So, of course, you can still use turkey or chicken, and you could do wild salmon, and you could do trout or sardines, etc. So make sure you get enough protein and good fat. Add some avocado at the meal, add some olive oil. Make sure you're satiated. I mean, really, humans should be able to go 3 to 4 hours without eating. If you can't, you didn't eat enough of the meal before, or you ate too many carbs compared to your protein intake and you just need more protein. But I know a lot of people out there, they can eat just a little bit of protein and a lot of carbs because they're just like that Vata body type. You could be more of the Pitta body type, which simply needs more protein at each meal to stay satiated. All right. James is up next. Hi, Doc. I have multiple food intolerances, and when I eat certain foods, I get pain in the side of my stomach, mostly on the left side of the belly button and occasionally on the right. It is like a dull, lingering pain, although before I cut out gluten and dairy, it was a lot worse. I actually went to the hospital only because of the pain, once because of the pain. My friend gets it in exact same pain too. I was wondering if you knew the mechanics behind it, what was happening specifically that me and my friend get pain in the same exact place. Is it specific organ that's being inflamed, or is it yeast bacteria feeding that position, or something else? Just curious as to why it's in the exact same place, slightly above the belly button and an inch or two to the left, all the time for me, my friend, and others I've spoke to. Thanks a lot, Doc. Love the info. James, appreciate it. Thank you for writing in. Love the question. I had this for about 8 years of my life. And so I know what you're going through. If you were to literally take a small bowl, right? A small bowl, or you were to make a circle with all your fingers touching and your thumb touching, right? Almost like people make that like heart symbol, right? Put that around your belly button, okay? Keep your navel, your belly button in the center. Everything within that circle is your small intestine. No one ever teaches us this. It's kind of like our bodies are the most important things we basically have, that in our mindset, and we're never taught this. The organ there is the small intestine. So your small intestine is inflamed, and it's chronically inflamed, and it was worse than when you put in dairy and gluten, because those are pretty much the most inflammatory foods that you can eat. Now, of course, there are other inflammatory foods, and many times they have to do with your food sensitivities. So, James, I would love you to run the gut-based testing. Organic acids test, most important. Second most important, stool test. Third most important, food sensitivity test. You might say, but isn't food sensitivities the most important? Well, they're kind of all the most important. But if you run an organic acids test, we give you an elimination diet, which helps most people because we've run thousands of gut-based labs, so we know what most people's food sensitivities are. So if you can run those 3 labs, you'll find out exactly what's going on in your gut. But for sure, there's some type of inflammation there in the small intestine. So what we would do is we would eliminate the food sensitivities. We would get rid of the candida or the SIBO because, it's typically both. It's small intestinal bacterial overgrowth and it's candida overgrowth. And we'd work on those. So, James, I can never tell you over a podcast, what it is. We don't diagnose disease here. We're not trying to treat disease or cure disease. But what we do is we look at what's causing those symptoms. And then we alleviate what's causing those symptoms by rebalancing the body naturally. And people get well. They go about living very healthy and happy lives. So that's what we do. Hopefully that helps, James. And I know I'm very, very confident you'll find your answers there. All right, Karina's up next. Could be our last question. We'll see. Hi, Dr. Cabral. My husband is a type 1 diabetic. I was wondering what your overall approach was to managing type 1 diabetes. His doctors have always told him to eat normally and just pump insulin for however many carbohydrates he eats. When he gets a low blood sugar, I have organic date bars and bananas on hand, better than the processed bars and candy he used to eat for lows. Yeah, Karina, that's a great question. So what I do is this. It's not dissimilar to what your doctor said, but conventional medicine is just like, eat whatever you want and then, take the medicine for it. I actually prefer people to get as healthy as humanly possible, do a detox, but as a type 1 diabetic, you probably can't do the fasting days, or you'd have to really monitor it with your insulin. But you can still do the detox. Get that liver as healthy as possible, right? Figure out what's going on with the gut. Get the body healthy. Run the big 5. Balance your omega-3 levels. And then what we want to do for your husband is eat a standard diet, okay? So basically, his days are pretty much the same. Same type of breakfast, same type of lunch, different foods, of course, for lunch, different foods for dinner. 3 meals per day, same structure of the meal, same portion of the meal from carbs, protein, and fats. And then you'll know how much insulin you'll need on a daily basis. With type 1 diabetics, I want them to use as little insulin as possible, but based on how much they need. So I'll never say use as little as possible. I'll say use exactly what you need. And again, I'm not giving medical-based advice, but that's what I would do myself. And I have type 1 diabetics in my family, so that's what we would do. And here's the thing. Then once a week, your husband can still indulge, but it's those nights that he'll know he might need a little bit more insulin. And just like you, I agree that the banana or the date bars are a much healthier alternative to bringing blood sugar back up. And believe it or not, it's so much less than most people believe. Like, you don't need to scarf down a lot of sugar to bring blood sugar back up. Sometimes a date. So when I was doing more sprint-based triathlons, and let's say I was starting to run low glucose after like 45 minutes or an hour because my body pumps through glucose, then I might have one date, maybe two maximum. That's it. Like you don't need a lot, and it packs a punch. Or one banana. That's perfect. So you're doing the right thing, very close, but let's get it fine-tuned, dialed in. So basically same portion size, same meals, just switch the foods out, and then you'll be able to know how much to use. Okay, we have time. Let's get in one more question. Jeanette's asking, hi there. I wish to first thank you for the amazing podcast you provide each and every day. I would like to ask your thoughts and possible research into hyperbaric therapy for chronic pain, and in particular back pain, which has been going on for 8 years. Okay, Jeanette, great question. Type in hyperbaric at stevencabral.com/podcasts. I've talked about hyperbaric therapy before, but I would love to answer your question here. So hyperbaric therapy, for those that don't know about it, or basically we're looking at increasing oxygen. So it's very, very powerful, hyperbaric chamber therapy, okay? For those that who don't know about it, check it out. Here's the thing. It can be used for Lyme. It can be used for chronic pain. It can be used for infections. Because you're basically, one is you're increasing the parasympathetic nervous system. You're increasing usable oxygen in the body. All of that is very powerful, right? Because oxygen can kill viruses. Oxygen can help with inflammation. But for me, I'm always getting at the underlying root cause. So two things. One, back pain. What's the cause? Chronic constipation. Are there subluxations of the spine? Tight hamstrings, tight glutes, tight piriformis base, area, inflammation of the piriformis, tight hip flexors. So what I need to do is figure out why the back pain, because I know we can figure that out. And same for Lyme. Okay, well, we're going to do protocols to help boost the immune system. Let's say that you have viruses, okay? We're going to do an antiviral-based protocol. And I've talked about that on the podcast before. So whatever it is, we're going to actually work on the thing. Now, if you want to use an adjunct to the protocol, hyperbaric chamber can be very helpful. However, most people need at least a dozen hyperbaric treatment sessions, and it needs to be multiple times per week. So we're talking at least a dozen, and typically at least 3 times a week. So at least 3 times a week for at least a month to really start to get the benefit, because the benefit compounds over time. So hopefully that was an answer that was adequate to your question, Jeanette. Thank you for writing in, and thank you for tuning into the Cabral Concept. Deeply appreciate you and excited for this upcoming week. If you don't know, our integrative health practitioner course and certification opens tomorrow. Today, we are offering $100 off our omega-3 lab for everyone, and basically in celebration of Father's Day. It's one of the most amazing labs that everyone can run, but especially males over the age of 35 because of such cardiovascular-based risk. And then tomorrow begins our promotion, or talking about our summer detox coming up. And this is our community gathers together every 12 weeks. I do it myself, and I've been doing it now for over 7 years, a 7-day detox. But again, you can do a 7, 14, or 21 day. If you've never done it before, I highly recommend the 21 day. And this is where we kind of remove the last 12 weeks of toxicity that we have built up living in this toxic-based world that we are all a part of, and basically just removing and forgetting about it. But I also use it as a reset. I use it as a reset, just saying, okay, a little too much accumulation, a little too much of this, 1 week to just kind of reset everything, right? To relax, to reset, to renew, and kind of get back on track. So I hope you'll join me. We'll talk about that more, and you can find everything over at equilibriumnutrition.com. For the integrative health practitioner, simply go to integrativehealthpractitioner.org. Thank you, everyone, for all of your support. Appreciate you, and take care. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.